All right, boom. I'm ready. I'm not ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. You Couchgod or the Nerdy Brew?
I am. Welcome everybody. It's your boy Couchgod here, the Nerdy Brew, and on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now, if you like one of those things or all of those things, go ahead, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and become a fellow brewster. Now, it's been a while since your boy Couchgod been on the channel. Shout out to RJ for holding it down. I know he's been flooding y'all with a lot of good content as of late, and we definitely appreciate him for that. But today I wanted to come in and do a little something special for y'all. RJ thought it would be a good idea if I did my top 10 movies of 2022, being that it is at this point when we're filming this, the 1st of 2023, January 1st. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you were safe and had a good time. He suggested I do a top 10 of my favorite top 10 movies of 2022, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, Couchgod wasn't really in the theaters this year. You know, I don't think I watched 10 new movies this year. So what I did was I did a top 10 of all time. I went back and just tried to really remember a lot of movies I came across growing up, not just comic wise, just movies period. Top 10 of all time for you folks here. I'm gonna put this cup down so I can get my notes, because Couchgod took notes. Number 10, Life. Life, starring Eddie Murphy, who was also one of the producers of the movie, Martin Lawrence, Bernie Mac, Gail Nunez, Rick James was even in the movie, Anthony Anderson, Joaquin Woodbine. That movie, the reason why I made it to my top 10 is the top 10 movie for me was because it was my first time seeing all those actors in one movie, and it's the only time I've seen all those people that I mentioned in the same movie. The movie's iconic. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what kind of rock you living up under, but get from up under there. But it came out in 1998. It was directed by Ted Demme. If I'm saying your name wrong, please forgive me, sir. Produced by Eddie Murphy, who well, he was one of the producers. Yes, I am sweating a lot. I don't know why. Thank you, RJ, for that. I had to look this guy's name up because he was one of my favorite characters in the movie, Hoppin' Bob. He was played by Brent Jennings. Okay, I don't know much about Brent Jennings, but I loved how he played Hoppin' Bob. It's definitely one of my favorite movies. It's about Ray Gibson and Claude Banks, two guys who just so happen to end up driving booze down to the South for Spanky Johnson, who was played by Rick James.
And for that girl backstage, make it publicly clear, never mind who you thought I was, I'm Rick James, bitch.
And they ended up getting charged with a murder and getting life for it, and they ended up spending the rest of the time just over there at Camp Bait where they ain't got no fences. You know what I'm saying? So if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean when I say that. But yeah, definitely one of my top 10 favorite movies. I enjoyed so much, and I enjoyed every actor that was in there. And I just enjoyed the whole feel of the movie. You know what I'm saying? How it ended, how it began, the whole plot, everything. I really enjoyed it.
Look, I don't need you to take up for me. I'm all right. I'm a grown man. I can handle it.
If you let him have your cornbread, you're gonna be ironing his drawers and clipping his toenails.
I know niggas iron.
Maybe I ought to eat your cornbread.
Alright, so we're gonna move on. So number 9, we got Scarface.
You want to flick this? Okay. Have a night with you. Come on. Okay. Do you want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend!
I know everybody has seen Scarface before. Alright. It was directed by Brian De Palma. Again, if I'm saying it wrong, please forgive me. Starring Al Pacino, Michelle Pfeiffer. You know, Al Pacino was Tony Montana. Michelle Pfeiffer was another big actress around that time. The movie came out in 1983. A little bit before my time. I wasn't born yet, so obviously I didn't see it when it came out. But the movie was so iconic that when somebody like me who was born in the late 80s came of age to watch a movie like that, it was still relevant. So that gives you a little insight on just how iconic the movie actually was. Starring Al Pacino, who was a young immigrant from Cuba who migrated to Miami.
Okay, so what do you call yourself? Huh? ¿Cómo se llama?
Antonio Montana. You gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
And jumped in the drug trade. And he started off as a small fry and moved his way all the way up the ladder to where he made enemies with the wrong people, and they ended up coming for him at the end.
Say hello to my little friend!
Again, the movie is very iconic and it's one of my favorites of all time. I'm a big Al Pacino fan, so a lot of movies that he's done, including Scarface, are some of the favorites that I have. Alright, let me know down in the comments below if you like Scarface. Number 8, we got 300. 300, starring Gerard Butler as well as Rodrigo. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Santoro, I believe. I'm mentioning them two because Gerard Butler played King Leonidas, you know, the leader of the Spartans, and Rodrigo played Xerxes, who was the leader of the Roman Empire, who during that time was on they were on a rampage. They were just taking over all Greece at that time, and the army was so massive. And when they came for Sparta, you know, Leonidas and the Spartans, you know, as prideful and as they are, you know, they're basically a tribe full of warriors. They wouldn't stand for it, you know what I'm saying? Leonidas didn't really have the backing of his council, so to speak. So he ended up just taking 300 of his best and making a huge dent in that Roman army. And like I said, the movie was very action-packed. It came out in 2006, and it stuck with me. Again, another iconic movie in my eyes. A lot of those actors and actresses were really young when they were in there, and I've seen them in other things. But it was just, when I first seen that movie, and I'm into, as you know, Couchgod, I'm into war movies about war and things like that, and definitely did it in that time frame. It just really resonated with me a lot. And then the action, you know, they don't pull no punches. A lot of blood, a lot of gore. You will see somebody's head literally get chopped off multiple times in that movie. And if you know Couchgod, you know I'm into the gorier the better for me. So let me know down in the comments below how you felt about 300. If you liked it, if you seen it, if you didn't like it. Number 7, we got The Matrix. Alright, I reference The Matrix a lot in my daily life and regular conversation with people. I reference The Matrix all the time. The first one, I liked the first 3, The Matrix, Matrix Reloaded, and Matrix Revolutions. The first Matrix came out in 1999. It was written and directed by the Wachowski. I think that's how you say their last name, the Wachowski sisters.
What?
I can't let my boy go down like that. It's the Wachowskis.
Lena and Lily, they did a great job. It was starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and also Carrie-Anne Moss. I think that's how you say her, Carrie-Anne Moss. Yeah, that's the one who played Trinity. So she was like, I guess that was the big 3 of the Matrix franchise in the very beginning. Of course, you know, Keanu Reeves is Neo. He is the one. I am sweating like a mug, and I don't know why. But Keanu Reeves is in the movie. He is the star. He is the one, Neo. And in the movie, basically the Matrix is just a program created by the machines to keep humans at bay while they use the energy that human bodies give off as basically batteries to power their machine city. And you know, Lawrence Fishburne, whose character's name is Morpheus, as the one, it's his job to go into the Matrix and free as many souls as he can, and also to find the one, which is the one that is supposed to bring it into the machines and free everybody from the Matrix, and that's who Keanu Reeves' character ends up being. I liked all 3 of them. There was a 4th one that recently came out about a year or 2 ago, I want to say. I didn't really like that one too much. I'm not gonna get into too much detail on why. I'll save that for another video. But the first 3 installments of the movie, I am definitely a huge fan of it. The way they use the technology to show those as they're floating in the air while they're fighting, it was something I had never seen up until that point. So that's why the movie definitely resonated with me after all these years. All right, number 6, Waterboy. Came out in 1998, starring Adam Sandler, Henry Winkler, Kathy Bates. A fun fact about that movie that I did not know until I researched was that the director of that movie is Coraci, C-O-R-A-C-I, Frank Coraci, who also in the movie played his dad. I didn't know that. You know, at the end of the movie when he's riding off, his dad pulls up and his mom tackles him. That actor is actually the director of the movie. I had no idea about that until I researched it. But The Waterboy was one of the first movies I've ever seen Adam Sandler play in. It was my first time being introduced to Adam Sandler. I thought it was funny. I thought the movie was great. It was based in Louisiana. If you all know Couchgod, you know I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. So anything about Louisiana, I'm gonna flock to it. It showed more of the swamp side of Louisiana, but it was still Louisiana nonetheless. Story of old Bobby Boucher Jr., who was a water boy for the past 20 years or something like that, I would say. And he ends up being the water boy for a college, the Mud Dogs. And basically he just became a great football player, a great linebacker.
Look at me, I'm the water boy, dude. I got a wooden spoon, dude. Smell like you could use a shower, Sticky. You're fired. Stop making fun of me. Ow. Damn. He's killed him. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Who that? Who there?
And it just shows his battle with that, and then having to being that he is 30+ years old. He was homeschooled. His mom was very overbearing. She didn't want to lose her son because she lost her husband. It was one of those type of stories.
Mama, maybe you could stop brushing my hair so I can read.
While I'm sitting here all day with nobody to keep me company except Steve? The chickens are coming home to roost, Bobby Boucher. You reap the fruit of your selfish ways. You gonna lose all your fancy foosball games, and you're gonna fail your big exam because school is
the devil? Everything is the devil to you, Mama? Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good. And by the way, Mama, alligators are ornery because they're medulla oblongata. And I like Vicky, and she likes me back. And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
The movie is very funny. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen. And to this day, I can still watch it, knowing everything that's gonna happen, knowing the lines, and I will still enjoy the movie. That's why it made it to my list. Top. We're in the top 5 now of my favorite movies of all time. Number 5, we're gonna go with Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans, it came out in 2000. It was starring Denzel Washington, Ryan Hurst. Funny thing about Ryan Hurst is there's a show, and RJ actually put me on this show. It's called Sons of Anarchy. It's a show about a biker gang. Ryan Hurst actually plays one of our favorite characters from that show. But this was the first movie where I was introduced to Ryan Hurst. It also has Wood Harris in it as well, and it also has Will Patton in the movie. Will Harris was played by Julius, one of the players on the team who was basically best friends with Ryan Hurst's character, Gary Bertier. Denzel Washington played Coach Boone, who was the head coach of the high school football team at that time. And Coach Yost, played by Will Patton, was his assistant coach. It was dated in times where segregation was, they were trying to do away with that. They were trying to integrate the schools with white students and black students, and it really showed the pushback that they were getting trying to do that. But it also showed how people's love of sports could really just make you forget the hatred that you have for somebody of a different color. That's one of the reasons why that movie stuck with me over the years. Again, just like The Water Boy, is something I can watch right now and I would still enjoy it, even though I know everything about it already. Basically, just the message that it gives is really what stuck with me over all these years. All right. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below how you feel about Remember the Titans. A lot of these movies on my list came out over 20 years ago, so there's a whole generation that probably doesn't know anything about these movies. All right. Number 4, we have Spider-Man. Now, Marvel's doing a great job with Spider-Man. I want to go ahead and say that. They're doing a great job with Spider-Man. Tom Holland is doing a great job as Spider-Man. The last movie they came out with where they had him, they had Andrew Garfield, they had Tom Holland, they even brought Tobey Maguire back. I'm loving what they're doing. But my top 4 Spider-Man movie is the one from 2002 with Tobey Maguire as the Spider-Man character. Now, there were 3 installments of that movie. Where Tobey was the Spider-Man in those movies. First one came out in 2002, the next one came out in 2004, the next one came out in 2007. I was a huge fan. To me, this is before Marvel really came on the scene with the live action movies like they have over the past 10 years. But I think this movie here, Spider-Man, and another movie on my list is really what, to me, set the foundation for live action movies within Marvel. Definitely made me a fan of Marvel. You know, I was always into the characters, but seeing them on live action big screen like I did with Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire back in 2002, another movie on my list, it really just sealed it for me. Spider-Man was directed by Sam Raimi, who is still directing these types of movies to this day for Marvel. Kirsten Dunst, who played MJ, who was his love interest. William Dafoe, who was the main antagonist in that movie, he played the Green Goblin. It also had James Franco in there, who was his best friend Harry, and also had J.K. Simmons in there as well.
Put an ad on the front page. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Who was J. Jonah Jameson, literally the biggest hater Spider-Man has on the planet. The movie was great. I love the action. I love how, you know, the CGI they used, the way technology was growing at that time to make that movie. It was just a great experience for me. I've seen it multiple times. I can watch it over and over again. It was just a great movie, and I'm a Tobey Maguire fan, mainly because of seeing him in Spider-Man. Any other movie he's been in, I've watched, but Spider-Man was definitely my favorite character that he's ever played. And to see them bring him back into the MCU like they have brought a lot of joy to my heart. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see how much further they go with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man character within the Marvel Universe. All right. I want to go ahead and start off with number 3. We got Blade, starring Wesley Snipes. It was directed by Guillermo del Toro and Steve Norrington and David S. Goyer. Blade was a great movie. I've always been into monsters, vampires, zombie type movies. I've always been into that. So when it came out with Blade, it was like, to me, he was like the first black superhero I ever really seen as a young black kid growing up. So when I saw him, he had the sword, he was smooth, nothing looked like it bothered him. You know, he didn't look like he was straining too hard. He just made it look real easy how he was dealing with those creatures of the night like he was in that movie. There are 3 installments of the Blade franchise. I've watched all 3 of them. The first one is my favorite out of the 3, but I enjoyed viewing all 3 of them. The first Blade came out in '98. The second one was 2002. And the third one came out in 2004. Like I said, it was starring Wesley Snipes, who was Blade. It was starring Chris Christopherson, which is one of the coolest names I've ever heard, who was Whistler. Sanaa Lathan was in that movie as well. It's one of the first movies I seen Sanaa Lathan in too. She played his mother in that movie as well. It was just a great movie. Blade was, he was just a vampire who had all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses except for the thirst. He got his powers because while his mom was in labor with him, she was bit by a vampire. And that's how he was able to get his powers. He came across Chris Christopherson's character, Whistler, when he was a young boy. And Whistler just took him under his wing and trained him in the ways of doing away with vampires and using your abilities for good and controlling your thirst. It was just a great experience to see. Like I said, he was one of the first black superheroes I ever seen. The movie is not, I'm not going to say it's for kids to watch, but I was a kid when I saw it and I enjoyed it. You know, it was vampires in the movie, so it was a lot of blood, it was a lot of action, and it just really stuck with me, like I said, because I was a Wesley Snipes fan before I even seen Blade. So seeing one of my favorite actors around that time playing a black superhero was for me was one of the first times I had seen that. That's why the movie stuck with me, and it still sticks with me to this day. I know they're rebooting the Blade franchise within the Marvel Universe, which is very exciting for me. I believe they cast Mahershala Ali as the actor to play Blade, and I'm interested in seeing where Marvel goes with that and how far they take that. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. My second favorite movie of all time. Second favorite movie of, I mean, you could kind of flip-flop 1 and 2, but I just went on ahead and made this second because my number 1 movie, you know, was something that you know, it just resonated with me a little bit more. My second favorite movie of all time is The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises was the 3rd installment of the Dark Knight franchise. It came out in July of 2012 is when the movie came out, the one that I'm speaking of, The Dark Knight Rises. As you know, there was Batman Begins, there was The Dark Knight, which featured Heath Ledger's Joker character, who is, to some people, the best Joker they've ever seen on live action TV. I would agree with that. And then the 3rd installment was The Dark Knight Rises, which featured Tom Hardy, Christian Bale as Batman, had Tom Hardy who played Bane, and you had Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman even actually found his way into these movies, and he was playing Lucius Fox, who was a great person who was on the side of Batman. I'm a Batman fan. He's one of my favorite DC characters of all time. So when they told me when it was a Batman movie coming out, I was going to watch it regardless. I never really knew anything about Christian Bale until I seen this movie. I loved his acting. I loved the way he portrayed Batman. I love the storyline. Like, again, this is the 3rd installment of the franchise, but the reason why it's one of my favorite movies is not only because they had Christian Bale and he was doing a great job as Batman, but they also introduced Bane, the character of Bane. Now, the way they introduced Bane, it was not the typical way you know him from the comics. He wasn't a Hispanic wrestler who just wanted to get souped up on the Venom to get strong to fight Batman. That wasn't what they did with his character. They made him methodical, they made him calculated, they just made him so much smarter than that original Bane character, and that's why I liked it so much, and I'm a Tom Hardy fan.
This is now a 4-megaton nuclear bomb.
Pull the core out of the reactor.
No, you cannot! This is the only power source capable of sustaining it. If you move it, the core will decay in a matter of months.
5 by my calculations.
Unfortunately, they had a couple of different characters in the movie. Like I said, Christian Bale was Batman. Tom Hardy was Bane. They had Cillian Murphy, who is a great actor, who is also the star of one of my favorite shows, Peaky Blinders. If you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. Unfortunately, they had Anne Hathaway in the movie as Catwoman. If you know Couchgod, you know I did not like her as Catwoman. I didn't think she did a good job at that. I didn't think she filled the suit out really well at all. But this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I could literally watch this movie back to back to back to back. The storyline is great. The citizens of Gotham versus the police. Like, it was, I absolutely loved it. I hated that Christian Bale, you know, gave up the cowl as Batman after that, but you know, you had to move on to bigger and better things, so I understand and respect him for that. But this is one of my favorite movies of all time, The Dark Knight Rises.
We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people.
And now we make it to my top movie of all time. I'm really letting y'all in on, I'm really letting y'all inside of Couchgod right now, okay? I'm letting y'all inside of me right now, okay? My top movie of all time is called The Count of Monte Cristo. It actually started as a book, a novel series that was created by Alexandre Dumas, all right, who was a French author from back in the day. The book came out in 1844. That's how old the story is. So it was directed by Kevin Reynolds. It was starring Jim Caviezel, Guy Pearce, and it also had Richard Harris, and it had a young Henry Cavill in it. Young Henry Cavill. Before I even knew who he was, before he was Superman, before he was the man from U.N.C.L.E., before he was in Mission Impossible, he was Albert in this movie. The book was published from 1844 to 1846. It was a series, and it basically, the reason why I love this movie so much, it was a movie that my mom introduced me to, and she introduced me to it because she wanted me to understand the message that was in the movie. It's basically about a young man named Edmond Dantes, who was played by Jim Caviezel, who was a second mate on a French trading boat, and his best friend, who was played by Guy Pearce, was the son of a count. Now, during those times, if you were a count, you were a man of status, you had money, you had land, you had influence. So being the son of a count versus being the second mate on a French trading vessel, and Dantes' family wasn't from money, they were actually pretty poor. You had a guy who his best friend was jealous of him to the point where he created a plot to get him arrested so that he could take what he wanted from him, which was his woman. Like he was just upset about how happy Dantes was, and he had so much less than him. Dantes ended up spending time in prison behind what he did. And while in prison, he came across an older gentleman who used to fight in the army for Napoleon. And that person ended up teaching him the sword, he taught him how to read, just made him, helped him become a better person. And once Dantes, learned enough, he was able to get his way out that prison, and he exacted revenge. He created a whole plot. He exacted revenge on everybody who had a role in him losing everything he had. The message that my mom wanted me to get out of that movie was that people can have more than you and still not be happy. They can still want what you have because they see you're more happy with what you have, even though it's less than what they have. And that meant so much to me because you gotta be happy with what you have. You can't want what other people have. You can't just base your happiness off the things you have. And if somebody has more than you, don't be envious of that. Don't be envious of that. Be appreciative of what you have and make it happen and make do with what you have. It's all about happiness within yourself. His best friend, played by Guy Pearce, was just not happy with himself because he had way more than Edmond Dantes, and that gentleman he was just very happy with what he had. He had a beautiful woman. He had his father. They didn't have much, but they had each other, and that's all he needed. And his best, and this guy is supposed to be your best friend, and he's secretly jealous of what you have. So that was one of the things that my mom wanted me to learn from that movie when she introduced me to it all them years ago. And I really appreciated how she, I appreciated her for doing that, and I just appreciated the message. That's why it resonated with me so much. I recommend anybody who hasn't seen that movie go check it out at least once. And if you do, if you happen to go watch it because you've seen this video and you heard what I was saying about it, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. I would really appreciate hearing you all's thoughts on that. All right. So please let me know down in the comments below how you felt about my top 10. If you agree with me, if you have some movies on that list that you love, I would like for all our Brewsters, if you could, in the comments, put down your own top 10 movies of all time. Or 2022 if you've seen enough movies. I just haven't seen enough movies this year to make a top 10 of 2022. So I just went on ahead and made it a top 10 movies of all time, which was pretty difficult because it was hard to recall every movie I've ever seen. It's really hard to recall. I'm pretty sure I'd have missed some, but I'm pretty happy with my top 10 list, and I'm glad you all allowed me to share that with y'all today here on the Nerdy Brew channel. So we're going to bring this video to an end. I want you all to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. You have a fantastic day because you deserve it. This is that channel. And RJ will be back. I know y'all miss him. He gonna be back. All right? This is that channel. Peace. headshot, blunt stay high. Talking shit, gotta pull up on they block. You fraud, I'm Couchgod. Never got a tax like a state charge. Safe house, safe house, safe house.